Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today, T3 Defense Incorporated T.3. DEFN's just filed an 8K announcing a major acquisition, and I am seeing a significant debt obligation that is raising eyebrows. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. The company is making a big move into the drone defense space, but this deal comes with a hefty price tag and some interesting terms. Scroll 3 Defense Inc. BRE exact name of registrant as specified in its charter, Scroll. Let's dive into what T3 Defense Incorporated T.3 DEFNS has been up to. They are a company making waves in the defense sector, and their latest filing, Form 8K, is all about a new acquisition. Think of an 8K as a report for big, important news that the company needs to share with investors right away. Scroll pursuant to Section 13 or Section 15 Brewery of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934, Scroll this form is their way of telling on official company news that isn't just a regular update. It means something significant has happened that could affect the company's value or how it operates. Scrollatum 2.01 Swan TD completion of acquisition or disposal of assets. CDTD Fui table. Table 3 Scroll, the big story here, is about acquiring assets. Specifically, T3 Defense Incorporated T.3. Defense has bought a piece of another company. Scrolling the 6th of July 2026. T3 Defense Inc., a Delaware corporation, the company, acquired 60% of the outstanding equity capital of Project 35, an Israeli corporation, Project 35, on a fully diluted basis. In consideration for the 60 ordinary shares of Project 35, the company issued 21,059,871 shares of common stock and a $1,250,000 note for the shares of Project 35. The note bears interest at the rate of 12% and matures the 5th of July 2027. The company also has an obligation to invest $2,500,000 in Project 35 during the next 12 months. So, on the 6th of July 2026, T3 Defense Incorporated T.3, DEFNS made a deal to buy 60% of an Israeli company called Project 35. This means they now have control over the majority of Project 35. They paid for this by giving Project 35 sellers a large chunk of their own company's stock, over 21 million shares, and also by taking out a loan, a promissory note for $1,250,000. This loan is not small potatoes. It carries a steep interest rate of 12% and needs to be paid back by the 5th of July 2027. That is a pretty short timeline for such a significant amount of money. On top of that, T3 Defense Incorporated T.3 DEFNS is promising to put another $2,500,000 into Project 35 over the next year. That is a total commitment of over $3.7 million in cash and stock, not to mention the ongoing investment. Scroll Project 35 is a trusted supplier to the region's leading defense organizations, including Israel Aerospace Industries, II Elta Systems, Rafael Advanced Defense Systems, and Elbit Systems. As well as the Israel Ministry of Defense, Project 35's unmanned aerial platforms are field-proven and already in active operational use. Over the past 3.5 years, Project 35 has focused on developing the High Negative 380, an autonomous man. Portable aerial interceptor designed to neutralize hostile drones within seconds of detection using a dual sensor guidance system that combines RF and optical AI tracking. The interceptor has recently completed a series of successful initial live-fire field trials, validating its performance and accuracy for high intensity conflict environments. Project 35's aerial platforms range from heavy-lift multi-rotor cargo drones and long-endurance fixed-wing VTOL aircraft for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance to high-speed, AI-guided tactical FPV systems. Complementing these is a dedicated counter-UAV suite comprising the High Negative 380 autonomous interceptor, radar and GNSS countermeasure systems, RF jamming and direction, finding and cybersecure anti-jam mesh data links. The company's systems are built from composite materials and aerospace-grade structures, hold as 9,100 aviation quality certification, and are engineered to Western supply chain standards, including Blue UAS and NDAA compliance. So, what exactly is Project 35? It sounds pretty impressive. They are a key supplier to major defense players in Israel. Like Israel Aerospace Industries and even the Israel Ministry of Defense, their main focus is on unmanned aerial platforms, basically drones. They've developed this thing called the High Negative 380, which is an interceptor drone designed to take down hostile drones very quickly. It uses some smart AI technology and has passed live tests, which is crucial in defense. Project 35 also builds other types of drones, from cargo carriers to surveillance aircraft, and they have a whole system for countering drones, including jamming and secure communication systems. Their products are made with high quality materials and meet strict industry standards, which is good to know in the defense world. The acquisition was made pursuant to the stock purchase agreement dated as of the 6th of July 2026 among the company Project 35 and XA Security and Defense Limited as the seller of the shares of Project 35. The above description of the agreement and the promissory note are qualified in their entirety by reference to the agreement and promissory note, a copy of which is attached hereto as Exhibit 10.51 and 4.19, respectively. This deal was done through a stock purchase agreement, and the filing tells us that the full details of this agreement and the promissory note are available as exhibits. Think of exhibits as attachments to the main filing that contain the actual legal documents. Scroll forward-looking statements to VP now. Every company needs to put in a disclaimer about forward-looking statements. This is basically them saying that anything in this report that talks about the future might not actually happen. They are saying that actual results could be very different from what they expect due to all sorts of risks and uncertainties. They are not promising that their future plans will work out exactly as they say. Scrollatum 9.01 Sunti D TD Financial Statements and Exhibits. Funti D TD Shrine Table. Scroll this section of the filing is about the financial statements and any other documents that support the information in the report. Scroll the company intends to file the financial statements required by Item 9.01R as part of an amendment to this report no later than 71 calendar days after the required filing date for this report. It's there saying that the detailed financial statements for the acquired company Project 35 will be filed later in an amendment. They have 71 days from the original filing date to get those in. Scroll the company intends to file the pro forma financial information required by Item 9.01B as part of an amendment to this report no later than 71 days after the required filing date for this report. The same applies to pro forma financial information, which essentially shows how the company would look financially if the acquisition had already happened in the past. This will also come in a later amendment. Scroll exhibit number Thundi TD description Thundi TD TRTR TD 4.19 NTD TD promissory note dated the 6th of July 2026 issued by T3 Defense Limited to XS Security and Defense Limited 2DTD TRTR TD 10.51 NTD TD stock purchase agreement dated as of the 6th of July 2026 among T3 Defense Limited, Project 35 Limited and XA Security and Defense Limited, SUDI TD TR TRTD 104 TD TD cover page interactive data file, embedded within the inline XBRL document, SUDI TD TWI tidy table scroll. Here we see the exhibits that are attached. Exhibit 4.19 is the actual promissory note, the loan document, and Exhibit 10.51 is the stock purchase agreement, the contract for buying Project 35. Trees also a cover page interactive data file, which is basically the filing made machine readable. Scroll 3 Defense Inc. BBRI date, the 9th of July, 2026, Sibi TD by TD 40 Menachem Shalom Subi D, TRTD. Name Subi D Menachem Shalom. Sudi TRTD, title Sudi TD, Chief Executive Officer Subi D 2020 table. We have the signature part of the filing, Menachem Shalom, the Chief Executive Officer of T3 Defense Incorporated T.3. Defens signed this report on the 9th of July 2026, confirming that everything stated is true to the best of his knowledge. So, what is the big picture here? T3 Defense Incorporated T.3. Defens is clearly aiming to grow by acquiring companies with cutting-edge defense technology. Project 35 seems like a promising addition, especially with their focus on counter-drone capabilities. However, the acquisition comes with significant financial commitments. That 12% interest note due in less than a year is a real concern. It is a ticking clock for the company to either generate enough cash flow from Project 35 or find a way to refinance that debt. Plus, they have to invest another $2.5 million. This is a substantial amount of money for a company that, based on recent news, has a share price hovering around $0.08. For comparison, when companies like Bed Bath & Beyond or Tupperware face significant financial strain, they often had to take on substantial debt or undergo dilutive financing that hurt shareholders. The risk here is that this new debt and investment could strain T3 Defense Incorporated T.3 Defen's already tight resources. The key thing I'm watching is how they manage this debt and if Project 35 can quickly contribute to the company's revenue and profitability to help service that loan. Oh, and the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Check out the Discord in the description.